welcome to the video as we take a British Airways Airbus A380 across the Atlantic from London Heathrow to Boston Logan, flying in the British Airways Club World cabin.
Traveling the world on planes, trains, trams, and more. Join Mark Hopwood as he shows you some of the great journeys he's made. Travel with him as he takes you to a whole variety of destinations. And just remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and give Mark your comments on this video.
We travelled into Terminal 5 using the Heathrow pods, a great product that takes you from one of the car parks, skirting the runway, straight into the terminal. We walked through Terminal 5 to Area J to the first wing. We weren't flying first class, but we've got the ability with the British Airways Gold Card to check in here in the first wing. It's a great facility. It's available to us. You go through your own private security and straight through into the lounge complex that British Airways have got, past these rather hallucinogenic lighting arrangements that are in place, but it's a direct access into the lounge complex where we were able to sit back, relax and enjoy the facilities past the very famous horse. If you know the name of the horse, drop it in the comments, but it welcomes you to the lounge at London Heathrow's Terminal 5. Before you get there, you can see the horse, you know you're well on the way, and then you're straight into the lounge to enjoy a good variety of food and drink. And of course there's real-time information about flights and boarding and gates, and you also get a view out of the window across the airfield to see aircraft taxiing, sometimes landing and taking off depending which runways are in use at any one time. Most of the food now is back to being a buffet, and then we left the lounge and we headed down the escalators past some engineering work that's going on with the lifts and the escalators, on our way to the sea gates, which involves taking this transit train to the end of the line at the sea gates. So we hopped off and straight up the escalators to see another Airbus A380 parking on the adjacent stand. And great to see the Airbus A380 back in traffic with British Airways, of course BA joining other airlines at Heathrow. And there's our Airbus A380 parked with the three jetties coupled up, two on the lower, one on the upper deck, and we were soon walking across to the upper deck jetty. So good afternoon from seat 52J on the British Airways A380, sat on the top deck here in Club World. Quite interesting here on the sea gates at Heathrow Airport. We've got a A380 to our right and an A380 to our left, so very much A380 City here this afternoon on Terminal 5 at the sea gates.
Cabin crew boarding complete.
So just had the advice there, boarding complete, so hopefully pushing back, taxiing out for a departure from 27 left or 27 right. It's approaching 1500 when they change runway, so it'll be interesting to see whether we just make one departure route or the other. Hopefully that won't delay us. So looking forward to a departure from Heathrow. Relatively short flight, transatlantic out to Boston today.
Well, thank you for being prompt to getting aboard the aircraft nice and quickly. That really helps with our departure today. We've got a few minutes to introduce you through. With you on the flight deck, Senior First Officer James Daniels. James is going to help me doing the flying out towards Boston for the next 6 hours and 55 minutes. And you've met some of the crew as you came on the aircraft. You've probably met some of them by the door, but we've got a fantastic team today, 22 of them, led by Sean. Sean and the rest of the team are going to make sure that you have a great flight, and we're going to ask a couple of things from you though, however, before we go. There is a safety demonstration they're going to show you, safety video on board the aircraft. It's really interesting, this aircraft, 2 decks, slightly unusual to some of the aircraft you may have been on before, so it's always worth it watching the safety demonstration and refreshing your mind about some of the features of this aircraft. The other thing as well, we have a seatbelt policy where we have them obviously switched on for takeoff and landing. During the flight though, I've turned the belts off, let you move around the cabin, but if you are going to have a sleep, if you could just make sure your belt's fastened over your blankets so we don't have to disturb you. Expecting good flying conditions today, a little bit of rain out of London. Once we're above the clouds, it should be nice for our route out towards Washington. The channel of the in-flight entertainment, you can actually watch our progress if you want to and see where we're going. But the next bit of land we come to is going to be the east coast of America, and we're coming straight in over the water just to land into Boston. So good weather there at the moment, and hopefully with about 40 minutes to go before we land into Boston, we should be able to give you an update of the latest weather as well. Shut the doors the next few minutes and pushing back out towards the far end of the airfield, taking off in a westerly direction. So hopefully we can get the last doors closed in a few minutes and go fairly smoothly.
London Heathrow from runway 27 left in the end, one of the first aircraft to queue up and be ready for a departure just after 1500 hours from that runway 27 left as we climb out past Terminal 5 over the local road network, the M4, and heading out across Berkshire, Wiltshire, and on that route map that I showed you just a few moments ago on this video. Great to be on the A380, of course not the most expeditious climb with the weight of the aircraft and the fuel to get us across the Atlantic. Takeoff then, time of course to have a look at the menu, the drinks menu with a variety of drinks available there, and then the food with a starter, main course and dessert. Now I confess to you that I forgot to take a photograph of my smoked salmon tartar starter with the avocado and creme pepper fresh, but it was very nice and you'll have to take my word for it. But the main course was the braised beef cheeks, which have come in for a little bit of a ribbing on some of the frequent flyer forums, but it's a staple item. My daughter had some chicken with a salad, which was very nice. There's a photo there of that. And the in-flight entertainment system, well, it's a system that's nearly 15 years old now. Still works reasonably well most of the time, but probably in need of a bit of an update. And, you know, you've got kids games, you've got some games for adults, you've got TV and films. Of course, it's the TV and films that most people are watching. The navigation is a little bit tricky. Sometimes the touchscreen doesn't always work, but it's a standard British Airways product. It's pretty similar to what's on most of their aircraft, and I'm just flicking through the screen here just to let you have a little look at how it works and to give you some examples of what's there. You can actually look on the British Airways website if you want to see a bit more about what the High Life entertainment system has got. But it's quite a short flight to Boston. By the time you've had something to eat and maybe had a little bit of a rest or maybe even a small sleep, there's not a lot of time to watch something, particularly if you've brought some stuff along to have a look at. Well, hello from the toilet in a British Airways Airbus A380. You know, I have done a few videos of my flights on aircraft, and I know some YouTubers feature a review of the toilet, sometimes called a loo review. I've refrained from that because, in my opinion, one aircraft toilet is much the same as another aircraft toilet, and I'm not necessarily sure that poking around toilets with a video camera is the way to endear yourself to your viewers or indeed to those on the aircraft around you. However, I'm making an exception for this toilet here on an Airbus A380. Now, this is British Airways, it's not Emirates or Etihad, so there's no showers in the toilets, but this is not any old toilet, and if you've flown on a variety of planes, you're probably familiar with the concept of opening a door. You just about have enough room to turn round, to use the facilities, to wash your hands and to squeeze your way back out again. Well, let's have a look at this. Now, not all the toilets on an Airbus A380 are this size. Some of them are conventional toilets. So I've swung my camera around, and that's the view you get coming in. There's a seat at the end there that you can sit down. In fact, why don't I just do that? I'm going to sit down on the seat and have a little look at what's around. So that's how you come in, of course, the full-length mirror, a sink, and you may go, well, hang on, there's a seat that's very comfortable if you're getting changed somewhere to place things. But is there, in fact, a toilet here at all? Well, of course there is. The toilet is here. It's well hidden, a fairly conventional aircraft toilet with a flush. Most of my flights on the British Airways A380 have involved flying in economy class, so I thought I'd show you what that looks like. There's a 2-4-2 configuration. They have economy class upstairs and downstairs. Both decks of the aircraft have economy class. It's perfectly acceptable, and I've been able to fly in moderate comfort. This is World Traveller Plus 232, so obviously a little bit more space, slightly bigger seats, bigger in-flight entertainment screen, and then back into the Club World cabin. It's the old club seats, not the new British Airways suites. They are planning to fit Club World suites to the A380 fleet at some point, but as of the summer of 2023, when I filmed this video, no progress. You can see there the yin-yang layout, seats on the aisle there, facing forward, the seats by the window facing backwards, and then 3 seats in the middle, 2 forward, 1 back. Slightly different layout downstairs. Upstairs, I think, is nicer with the bins that sit next to the window, but the cabin roof does come in, curves in, makes it feel a little bit smaller than downstairs, but you take your pick, and different people have different preferences. The seat there does recline. Not many people, of course, reclining their seat on a daytime flight, but you have that option. And I've put some video footage in here. There's the steps going up, and an empty cabin, because I did fly on the A380 to Frankfurt back in 2021, and British Airways did allow us to film the upper deck even though no one was sitting there. So it was great to be able to get those shots, because not everyone likes having a camera thrust in their face. It's quite odd to film an empty aircraft cabin. The footstool, of course, reclines. That becomes part of the sleeping arrangement if you do recline your seat. And the 4 engines, 2 on each side, are, of course, a distinctive aspect of flying with the Airbus A380, particularly with very few Boeing 747s or Airbus A340s left in passenger service. It's great just to look out of the window and see those 2 engines, not a sight you see on many aircraft, and it's great to fly across the Atlantic on a 4-engine plane. Call me old-fashioned, but I do prefer that, and it's great to have that A380 experience with British Airways. So after most of the transatlantic journey had been undertaken, it was time for a light meal, a bakery selection with a choice of a barbecue chicken sandwich, or this, the caprese quiche with mozzarella and tomato, followed up by the dessert there, the creme caramel with, of course, a caramel sauce. I chose to have some brie tea from the beverage selection. Not a lot of food, but who needs that after the substantial meal earlier on? So a great little selection there from British Airways in the Club World cabin. Of course, you have to adjust the time difference yourself, don't you? It's 5 hours behind in the US, so it was well into the evening UK time, but only probably around 3-4 o'clock when that meal was served. But we started to then make our descent towards Boston. Quite an unusual flight into Boston, because you do come in over the sea, so you do sometimes pass over land in northern Canada and Newfoundland, but often with this approach the first land you really see is the land right underneath you as you're just about to touch down on the runway at Boston Logan. And that indeed was the case, and you can see here as we've just passed over land, that was the first land that we'd come across, and we're commencing our descent and then heading towards the runway landing, of course, in a westerly direction. Did have some problems with my technology, with my GoPro, which didn't work, so I just picked up this footage from my iPhone as we came into land at Boston Logan.
Good afternoon everyone, and welcome to Boston. The local time is just approaching 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened until the captain has parked the aircraft safely at the terminal building, shuts down the engines and then switches off the seatbelt signs. Before you leave the aircraft, please make sure you have all your personal belongings with you, and do double check your seat pocket to make sure you're not going to leave any iPads or iPhones behind. Once again, do take care when opening the overhead lockers in case a bag does fall out and cause injury. You may now make and receive calls as well as use all data services on your handheld electronic devices.
And that is just about it for this video, as the cabin crew on the upper deck opened the door ready for the air bridge to be used for the exit straight off the aircraft. We were first off, more by luck, I think, than by judgment, but a great flight. I hope you enjoyed it. Do like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you again with another video here on my channel very, very soon.